much. First of all, I'd like to invite each of our participants to introduce themselves, and I'll call out your names to make things simple, going from the top left of my screen. So, Taisha, would you please introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, I'm Taisha Thompson, an assistant professor in the Department of English and co-PI with Eric on these projects. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. Sum?
Hello, everyone. Sum Patton, creative director, Glow Interactive, and based in Los Angeles, California, and have been engaging on this with ICAT and the students since about last year, and looking forward to what's about to happen. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. Alicia?
Hi, I'm Alicia McKelty. I'm a second year MFA student here at Virginia Tech.
Thank you so much. And Sabrina?
Hello, everyone. I'm a second year PhD student at Howard University.
Fantastic. Okay, I think we can begin with our official presentation.
Alrighty.
So the first thing I'm going to do is talk a little bit about our project. And our project here is actually several interlocking projects funded by grants from ICAT, ICTAS, and TLOS. At the core is an ongoing collaboration with faculty and students at both Howard University and Virginia Tech who are creating digital humanities projects in their areas of interest. Virginia Tech is supporting this endeavor through our expertise in immersive audio and providing use of our immersive audio facilities. A key additional aspect of this project is the expertise of industry partner Sum Patton, who we just met. Sum is creative director at Glow International, a recording artist, visual artist, AI specialist, and so much more. Sum has been working with our students to provide guidance on industry standards for creative digital art and effective workflows for artistic critique and ideation.
When we began this collaboration, we started with several conversations with our faculty, faculty David Green, who will be joining the Zoom a little later, about a possible collaboration with a hip hop class focusing on Black rhetorics and digital technologies and digital humanities and its impact on writing in the humanities. And during the spring of 2023, we began an exchange with VT and Howard University students, where the students in my course, I was teaching a hip hop literature course at Tech. The students from Howard participated in my course, and David Green at Howard University was teaching a Black rhetorics course. And the student, Eric and I went to Howard University to collaborate with the students there. This project really took off when we started thinking through the production of a professional artifact, and we asked Sum to join the team. And through several conversations with Sum over a period of about 6 months, we started to think what would be feasible for the students to create using immersive audio, but also leveraging their knowledge in writing, their knowledge in Black cultural studies, their knowledge of digital humanities, and to do this in a way that was equitable for both Virginia Tech and Howard University, so both could bring their strengths to make this partnership mutually beneficial. And with that in mind, we were thinking through how we would take this pilot project as a prototype to apply for external grants, such as the NEH Collaborative Research Grant, focusing on scholarly digital projects.
Fantastic. And we've just been joined by Professor David Green from Howard. David, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Dr. David Green. I'm an associate professor in English at Howard University. I direct the writing program and I also teach courses in African American literature and African American rhetorics, particularly around hip hop and intellectual mixtape. and I really appreciate being brought a part of this project.
Dr. Green, would you like to talk about the in-person exchange that we've had over the last year?
Sure. My participation in the project began when Dr. Thompson and Dr. Lyon reached out to begin thinking about collaborative work that we can do around the digital humanities and really thinking through what innovative work with regards to sound technology and music might begin to look like. In the spring of 2023, we both taught courses in African American literature with an emphasis on the digital humanities work and using technology. We brought a number of students to Virginia Tech to collaborate. We were there introduced to a number of different spaces. Particularly the hip hop space was most enjoyable for me. But there we shared and discussed as a collaborative group just different ideas around how to incorporate sound technologies into the research and writing work that we were doing with the students. And that collaboration continued into the fall of 2023 and then now into the spring. And again, we've had a number of students come down to Virginia Tech to collaborate, to begin to develop their own research projects that incorporate sound technologies in various ways, and also to kind of think through the intellectual mixtape framework, what that means to understand your project and your idea as a compilation of different resources, both in technology and traditional, and how we might begin to think about that in terms of long-term projects, so not just in terms of book projects or print projects, but in terms of multimodal projects that students might develop. It's been a very fruitful exchange, definitely for me. I've really appreciated learning in community, really about the sound technologies. Dr. Lyon has been really, really helpful in opening my eyes just to the possibilities in that area. And it's been, you know, very useful and bountiful in a lot of ways. At Howard, while we do have different ways to kind of think about these projects as well, is we just do not have the same resources that are available at Virginia Tech. And then also it's very important to begin to think in community. So to think with others about your own projects and be able to kind of bounce perspectives off with people who are also doing this kind of interdisciplinary work. So that's been my experience. I think I see Sabrina and we have another student, Alex, who have been working very closely with the program and with Dr. Thompson. And they can kind of, I guess, talk about their own experiences. But from my perspective, this has been such a fruitful exchange of ideas. It's been eye-opening for me.
Some.
Hey everyone. So nice to be here and see my friends again on the call. And every time I'm here in this space with you all and everyone here, I feel I feel a lot smarter, and I leave feeling a lot smarter, at least for a few minutes. I'm so grateful to be part of this burgeoning collective. And the experience for me has been eye-opening and consciousness expanding as well. And truly hits a number of passion points for me, being an interdisciplinary artist and also always kind of seeking new modes of storytelling, which is what each of these projects really sort of dives into, is new modes of storytelling and how can we mindfully harness new technologies and emerging technologies to do that. And that is an area I'm ever exploring on behalf of myself as an artist and also on behalf of the communities that I represent. And so what was important for me in terms of bringing my expertise and my POV to the table was, excuse me, helping the students kind of weigh out feasibility measures for their projects. It's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing to bring it forth and materialize it. And we often in the artistic process, that's a very character expanding and soul cultivating experience. And it's probably my favorite part of the process because most times do not end up with what you originally envisioned, and oftentimes it's better. And that process is a process of self-discovery. And so to be part of that, to be brought in to that process with the idea of AI possibly being part of it, spatial audio, which is an area I've always had interest in, but never had an opportunity to fully explore. This was an opportunity to do that. And also, as someone whose primary disciplines are in the kind of written and literary arts, learn from the students, who are and the faculty who are, have expertise in those areas and learn just more about the different traditions that they represent and the traditions that they're willing to explore, whether it's, poetry, spoken word, the written word, and what have you. So part of my job was to, help them figure out feasibility measures, define the vision, refine the vision, and then once we get to a place where we realize that we can actually visualize, fabricate, manufacture, whatever it may be, produce our artifact, then how can we elevate it and put as much polish on it without losing the original intention, and in fact, bringing the original intention out even more, and how can we evolve it and elevate it? And so that was and continues to be a wonderful experience.
Thanks so much. Now let's
Mm-hmm.
hear about the projects themselves.
And we'll focus here on the two students who are present in their project just for the sake of time. Sabrina or Alicia?
So I'm currently working on a poetry manuscript called Something to Cry About. I'd say it's a collection of poems, documents, and songs. And right now I'm transcribing a lot of that work into an audioscape for this project. So it looks a lot like using the text that I've written, and then projecting it onto screens and working with different like found objects to tell that narrative using audio and just different like found objects. Something I'm really excited about. So far, this poetry manuscript looks like it'll be my thesis. So I've been really excited to work on this project and kind of see the different ways that using audio is coming back into the work that I'm doing for my thesis.
My project is titled Caribbean Dreaming, and specifically this iteration of it would be considered Memories of Youth, where initially I was motivated and inspired by a professor on campus to record my family members who are from Jamaica. I'm Jamaican, I immigrated to the United States. I was inspired to record family members who had migrated in the mid 1950s to the 1960s and get their experiences about migration and how fitting into a society and space that you do not identify with kind of messes with your concepts of home and being an identity. So that's what this initially sprung from. And once during spring break this semester, I decided to record my father just to practice using the technology actually. So I didn't intend to use the audio that I am going to be using, but I think that works out in a really unique way. as I was able to interview my father and get his experience in childhood, growing up in rural areas of Jamaica, and talking about experiencing things like independence when he was age 7, and just being a part of a society that is still constructing itself. And my hope with this project is that this is one version of a larger collection of recorded audio that will go through folks who went to different countries. So my father immigrated here to the United States, but I have relatives who went to England, Canada, things like that, and trying to capture their experiences in migrating to these different societies and locations.
Eric?
Fantastic. Okay, well, as we're closing in on our time, perhaps most important message is that all of the students that we've heard from today, and one who is not able to join us today, will be here on campus on Monday for ICAT Day. So please join us, and you'll be able to experience their projects. And in particular, they will be presenting work between 10 a.m. and 12 noon this Monday. So again, please come to ICAT Day. Many, many wonderful things, and this is going to be one of the wonderful ones, and then we'll be able to have more in-depth discussions. So thank you so much, and I think we're ready to move forward to questions at this point.
Thanks so much for sharing. What a great combination of disciplines in this space. What questions do we have?
Thanks so much for the presentation. Always really love interdisciplinary explorations like this that are mixing in some of the unique offerings that we have here. What I'm most interested in is those of you that are getting exposure to some of these new types of technology or new tools in your tool belt, such as spatialized audio. I'm interested to know if there's any specific thing that this interdisciplinary group or a new technology has assisted you with in storytelling. As I think about things like perhaps like the 4 pillars of hip hop or other types of like multi-narrative experiences and diasporic experiences, are there any specific things that you found you were further empowered to better communicate or connect with others around in what you were able to access in this project?
That's for you.
Eric, I think you may need to restate it because we were hearing like maybe every third word.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, so the question...
Yeah, so
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
yeah, sorry, just so everyone knows that that other microphone, the acoustics of the room are dampening your sound, the sound coming out of that mic, so we can't hear what's coming out of that. So Eric, you might need to
Understood.
restate each question.
Yeah, this is actually a reverb chamber, not a lecture hall. But the question was how, if as I understand it, because I'm in the same situation, how have the spatial techniques that we've worked on together enabled you to think differently about how you would go about your creative process and storytelling?
I'd love to answer that. So I have no experience with Reaper or Audacity before my course with Dr. Thompson and before our in-person sessions. But during those times, like I learned a lot about like reverb, and I'm using a lot of reverb in my audio, which is kind of mimicking the sound of like a chorus, because a lot of my work deals with sisterhood and deals with like a collective experience, and so it's kind of adding to that that narrative. It was really exciting to kind of like hear like all the voices like echoing back and forth in the audio. Which I find like really representative of that central voice of the sisterhood in my pieces.
Similarly, I don't have much experience with a lot of the technology that we were using, but I found it really almost empowering to hear my father's voice and decide how his voice is heard, particularly as it pertains to like he has a Jamaican accent, he speaks in Patois. What am I deciding as a creative as well as an intellectual is what am I deciding is valuable to hear for the audience. So that process of like cutting things out, amplifying certain words, repeating certain things. At first, I just thought it was a simple process of taking things out, but it became much deeper than that very quickly, where it's a decision about how to represent someone's story in such a way that the authenticity of the culture and the history of this person and what they're conveying is not only presented but almost amplified. So it's been fun to play around with the effects in such a way that I think kind of grounds the research in the person and the individual and their experience. So it's been difficult sometimes, but mostly a fun experience.
Thank you so much. Other questions?
Thank you. I have a similar but related question of when your artist's encountering a new technology or a new medium, there are constraints in that medium. So when you've been working with new technology inside of your art, do you find that those constraints limiting or are they sort of empowering? So like when you encounter a new technology, is it limiting or empowering for your creativity?
Did you all get that, or should I repeat? The
Yeah,
question is,
can you repeat it?
When you're encountering a new technology, such as the spatial audio, do you find that limiting to your artistic process, or do you find it empowering, or I guess maybe both?
I can actually take a stab at that first, and I can actually link it to a response that I had to the previous question, which was, our real time saw the students kind of discover new aspects of their project that they were unaware even existed as they began to experiment with the audio personality of the project, and things that maybe they thought they were going to throw away or were useless, became centerpieces or, sound beds to amplify and elevate the storytelling that they actually want to do. So actually being in the crucible of experimentation with new technology, I saw real time open up their consciousnesses around what the possibilities are. I do think that, not to more directly to answer this question, I do think that ultimately um, it boils down to your discipline and your artistic practice, your artistic principles that will determine whether a new technology will limit you or help you grow. And so it's kind of bigger than the technology and how it affects the individual. It's kind of more about how the individual is situated in their art practice and how willing they are to experiment, what they're willing to let go, what they're holding on to, what their expectations are. And that's all part of kind of like a personal growth process and pattern. So me personally, I often find new technology is liberating. It can be, but I can also, because I'm aware of my practice and the guardrails in it, I can sense when a piece of technology also might be stunting my growth. And so I can feel out when to, ease off of it. But that's the privilege of doing what I do for having been doing it for so long. So I can't speak for every artist. And so I would love to hear from the other artists on the call about that.
Any further from comments from Alicia or Sabrina on that question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because of my limited experience with some of the technology that we're using, I find myself like kind of clumsily like using things. So it wasn't long ago where I'm on Reaper and I'm like finding um there was a very specific thing, and this tells you that I'm not familiar with it because I can't even tell you what it was, but I just click on it and I use it. It sounds like it works, sounds good to me. I have no idea what I did. I can't go back and do it again, but I saved it and it sounds good. So I'm excited about it. And so as a poet who like normally just works with pen and paper or typing on my computer, working with this kind of audio production technology, it almost feels like I'm not taking like like a risk, if you will. Like it feels it feels easy to buy into not knowing what I'm doing. I've been pretty comfortable with that. It's been pretty fun.
Similarly, just poking around. I started with Audacity and then transitioned to Reaper, and then I go back and forth between the two, just based on my comfort. But similar to Alicia, I think because of my lack of familiarity with these softwares and like with the technology itself, it's almost liberating in a lot of ways. I've had countless meetings with Dr. Lyon where I'm just like, does this make sense? Are my ears attuned to hearing things that they probably are not attuned to hearing? And kind of having to learn a new language almost. But that is exciting because then I have a new way of exploring something that I've only ever written down or like literally heard from like from like mouth to ears. So it's interesting that I'm able to put it in a new space and make it a new experience altogether.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
We are at time, or very close to it, so I think we will. I just want to thank you all. I'm gonna come here, so because can you all hear? No, I got one. That's good. Can you all see me now? So I say hi. Thank you all so much for being part of our day today, and we are so excited to see you on Monday as well for ICAT Day. I hope everyone here will come to ICAT Day. Let's give this group another great round of applause and have a great weekend.
Thanks so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.